GM, wake up, let's go. Web 2, Web 3, stay in the know. Action, Dabatola, Toki in the zone. Breaking down the latest, straight to your phone. From Web 2 shifts to Web the waves. News, deep dives, hot takes for days. Tech's evolving, the world's in spin. Markets move, let's lock it in. Genzio's here, no time to snooze. Tune in now, get the news. GM. Wake up, let's go. Web 2, Web 3, stay in the know. GM, start the show. GM, wake up, let's go. Web 2, stay in the know. GM, start the show. GM, let's go. Web 2, stay in the know. GM, start the show.
GM, everyone. This is Tokibusa coming at you live with my special guest of the day, my co-host who has the most, Mr. Sir Dabatola. How you doing today, man?
What's good? I feel smart today.
I like the glasses, man.
I got glasses.
The new look.
Yeah, it's interesting. No, I've worn contacts for a while and haven't had a pair in 20 years, and just makes it easier for traveling. So
You haven't had a pair of glasses in 20 years?
Yep.
My God, that's impressive.
I sat on them in my car like 20 years ago. They broke, and then like 10 years after that, got contacts, and then finally I'm like, you know what? With all the traveling that we're doing, I need to have contacts or have glasses for these long flights, like Dubai.
Absolutely.
So-
Dude, my eyes dry out so bad on some of those flights. Like I got those I think they're called like blink eye drops, especially for contacts, because when we go on these long flights, like 14 plus hours, and you're just drying out in a plane essentially. Yeah, that's a rough one. Oh man. But I've got some crazy news. I've got some crazy
right.
things that I've been looking up this week, especially as
Uh-oh.
we're diving more and more into the world of gaming. I mean, how can we
Oh,
not?
okay.
In the
I
world
thought we
of
were going to go into China again real quick.
no, I have actually.
Don't worry, we
I
will.
really
Don't worry,
tried
everyone,
to
we
avoid
will.
anything China today. So the fact that you brought it first, thank you.
I just opened the door for it. It's all right.
But there's as you know, gaming is a pretty big deal. It's probably one of the biggest things within Web3. Um, I have to say I'd say a vast majority of people who were in the beginnings of Web3 and have still had the longest standing in Web3 are gamers, because we just love our graphics cards. We always want to have the better experience, and we're willing to sacrifice money in order to have a better experience wherever it is in the world. So, with that in mind, today's topic, the future of gaming, AR versus VR. What does that actually mean? Where are we leading into all of this? And man, I thought that a great special guest for today to actually be joining us is someone who's actually working on a real consensus protocol for gaming. So, without further ado, welcome to the stage, Mr. Ken Anderson.
What up, man?
What's
That
going on?
intro music is wild.
Would you guess that it is indeed AI?
I was gonna ask you if it's AI.
Yeah, no, that was actually made on the Suno AI app. Still is surprisingly one of like the leading music producing AI apps that are out there. it's actually impressive. You can remaster songs, you can see where it's topping out on vocals or different high ends on bass, and you can start to fix some of the mixes. You can dive into the crazy world that is audio.
You might have just killed my whole productivity for the day. So
Oh, good. Let me know. I have the ability to go and use my account for any commercial purposes as well. So
You have a
honestly,
catalog of music as well.
I
too.
do have a catalog of music at this point. Oh man.
It's impressive. It really is impressive what it can do. Like just
Oh,
that,
yeah.
just what you use, Toki, is like I'm like blown away by it. You just feed it a little bit of info, like pick a style, maybe feed it some lyrics or some topics, and then like 90% of the time it's a banger. It's crazy.
It was impressive how far it's come, but also in the sense of when I'm talking like you can make soundtracks for gaming in no time flat. I'm talking like 12, 14-minute songs that can like start to be on repeat and they'll flow the whole entire time. That's totally viable product there.
oh my goodness.
Oh
This
yeah.
world's getting
Like the
weird.
stuff that all the little like nitpicking things of like I need a bard's song that he can just sing and there'll be like all this extra stuff going on in the background. You can have that happen and it's amazing, man. I tried to do kind of like a Misty Mountains song.
Yep.
Banger. Dude,
Well,
the
and
baritones
this-
that you can get, amazing.
They're not human, is what you're saying.
Oh, literally, yeah, they are not human. Like, this sounds like an actual dwarf is trying to to
Well,
say something to you.
And I know our topic is AR versus VR. That's the high level topic, but the future of gaming is prompt and play,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
I'm coining that term, by the way. I published an article 2 weeks ago about this prompt and play.
Okay.
But I think of
P&P?
like yeah, PNP. Like we're gonna replace PNP, plug and play, with prompt and play.
I like that.
But my 14-year-old son, who he'll play video games with his friends, mostly things like Marvel Rivals and Shell Shockers, and just fun, casual games with his friends. And then he'll get off the game and go walk outside in our backyard around the pool for 4 hours doing Dungeons and Dragons, like Theater of the Mind, Dungeons and Dragons, where he's the DM. And I'm sitting there thinking, if we took those two things and put them together and was like, hey, you can prompt your own game and then share it with your friends, and your friends get to play in your world. Like, what's going to happen when we have 100 million teenagers releasing games?
On a consensus protocol.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to.
I
No, we
mean,
got-
realistically though, like if you had an actual forever game that you could play with your friends that was prompt to play, that changes
Well, so
everything.
Well, there's two things that come out of that. So the first one is like, that's exactly right. When at GDC a few weeks ago, I was talking to some of these prompt and play companies. There's one in particular that's consumer facing. There's a few that are trying to be consumer facing. A lot of them are trying to support game developers, but there's a few that are consumer facing. And one of the questions I had was, okay, how are you guys doing with multiplayer? And they're like, oh, we're not going to do multiplayer yet just because, well, you can't do multiplayer because somebody has to host the servers. They're like, who's going to host the server? What teenagers are going to go, to Amazon and put in a
You'd
credit
be
card?
surprised.
It's true.
The thing is,
But
the whole
the
point is to
average.
reduce friction. Yeah. So the whole point of this prompt and play is like
Mhm.
you don't even have to learn Lua for Roblox or Java for Minecraft anymore. It's just give me a dungeon crawler, make them zombies, let me shoot razor blades at them or whatever. Like you just tell it what to do and it makes it. But the thing is I was talking to them and they were like, yeah, nobody's going to host the multiplayer servers. And I said, well, what if you didn't need servers? And they're like, wait, what? I was like, yeah, you can take Tashi as a protocol, plug that in, just bake it into the training algorithm and let it auto-generate multiplayer games that are strictly peer-to-peer using the Tashi DPen. So now you're creating these immortal games, these forever games with prompt to play, and you never had to learn a line of code. You never had to pay for servers or anything. It's just like, oh, the game exists. As long as people are online and playing, it's working.
And this comes to the greater topic at hand, and why I'd say I'm thoroughly interested in hearing both of you give your opinions today. Let me switch over to this one real quick. Hopefully it'll be a smooth process. My apologies if not.
Well, and to finish out the second, and he, oh, there we go. Smooth process, and he disappears. I was gonna say, this brings me to the second part, is like, what happens when you do have 100 million, teenage generated games? The problem becomes discovery and curation. So, my vision, what I imagine next is like a TikTok of games. So now you take like TikTok plus prompt and play, and now we've got 100 million games out there that are being discovered that would otherwise never have been discovered. So anyway, that's the end of that rant. You can go read my article if you want.
Oh, I definitely will. Please be sure to send me wherever that is currently located. That's gonna be a good one for sure. Now, my deeper topic at hand, and this is ultimately why I think it's such a big deal that you are on this conversation, is AR and VR, the augmented reality versus virtual reality, the gaming that we have been watching basically in process since the 80s, if not been in books since the 70s or so, just in sci-fi and how things have been progressing. Everyone is slowly trying to inch their way closer to a real VR or AR experience. And I'll say some of the greatest successes as far as AR goes is probably like Pokemon Go. Exceptional as far as how they've been able to condense it down all onto your phone, and you can play real world and see where it is and so on and so forth. But the VR, I think we are still so far behind on where we need to be. And I think it really comes down to the fact of how servers are currently created and the amount of dedicated resources there are to the VR process. And so one of my biggest questions, and I'm going to toss it right away to you, Ken, is what do you think about AR versus VR? Is there a certain gaming that you prefer between these two?
Well, I'm a VR junkie. I have the original Vive. I've got all the Quests. I never got an Oculus because I was part of Team Vive back in the days.
Okay.
Versus Team Oculus. I didn't switch over to Oculus until the Quest, when it was like, oh, I can play games in my backyard, or I can go take this to my friend's house. Because what it used to be is we had a family reunion when VR first came out, and I like literally brought my whole computer with my lighthouses and my VR headset to the reunion, and we like set up a whole hotel room just for VR. And that was a big thing. Now I can carry these little cases around with my Quest 3 in it and like just throw it on your face and go. But you lose a little bit of fidelity, but you also gain like resolution on the screen too. So like there's some trade-offs between the different technologies. But I think AR, I mean, we're separating them here, and this article's talking about the difference between them. VR quite literally takes you out of the world and puts you into a virtual world, right? So VR is, I put this headset on, I set a boundary, and it remembers where the boundary is. So it kind of warns me when I'm getting close to the boundary, so you don't smash your hand into the wall or into a doorknob or something. But it puts you in a virtual world. Well, AR says, no, you're still in your world, but how can I modify your world with synthetic virtual content and objects? And so that's the difference between the two. I think you're right. I mean, Pokemon Go was probably one of the, actually, I think it's probably the biggest of the AR games out there. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. VR is still kind of the go-to, but there's still all kinds of artifacts with accuracy and stuff like that with VR. And the latest VR headsets are getting super tiny, but at the same time, we're starting to get glasses that are like really good for AR. So both technologies are progressing. They're leveraging each other for better optics. The optics are actually the big part of it. Is, you know, when you're wearing one of those VR headsets for an hour, it gets heavy. You get a nice little neck workout. If we can get it to the point where they're just, Dabatola's glasses right there, and now we can go AR, or with VR, you kind of want to like block out the light from the rest of the world, but have it the same size as those glasses, the same footprint, and just block off around the eyes. Then we'll be in a place where I think people are going to be more ready to adopt it. But the technology has to get there. I'm just like a junkie when it comes to this kind of stuff. So I'm always the early adopter on gaming stuff. But I think
It's
for the time
also got to be
being,
affordable too. It needs to
yes.
be in a, for a greater adoption, because I hate saying it, like people buying consoles or PCs or different things to game, even cell phones. Like, you're using your phone
Yeah.
to game, right? How much is an iPhone or a good Android? You're
I
spending
was
over
looking at yesterday.
$1,000.
Yeah, 1,100 for the phone that I wanted yesterday. I'm like, seriously, for a phone?
So then if you have to spend another $1,000 for glasses or something, then the price barrier. So there needs to be this balance where somebody can make it affordable and utilize the technology. And I think we're headed that way. But from somebody who's like gamed many years ago, I've tried, like, even going to places and using VR where it was a little bit bulky, but response time and stuff might be better than some of the ones I've used like at home. Just the games weren't, I feel like, developed on the ones I do. Like, it just didn't have the gameplay or the storyline, or like there was big trade-offs in order to do the VR. So lots of other stuff might have been compromised in the timing. So I'm hoping that you could take a game like, and I'll just make, like an obvious big one that everyone plays, for like Call of Duty or something like that. I want to be able to just be like, glasses on or something like that, grab something and just be like, running around in the game, and like fully, like, so
do you want to have it be glasses, or do you want to be able to lay in a capsule and suddenly you just sink into a VR?
Well,
I gotta move.
Maybe there's a
no.
scale. Well, I mean, look, at people have different computers to play, or phones, or different keyboards, or different mouse or whatever, right? So why couldn't it be like, all right, you could utilize glasses or a full headset, or maybe somebody comes out with something where you're wearing sensors, like it's just cheap sensors, like you put gloves on that sensors stuff or something, so you could, So
actually, the new haptic stuff has been pretty interesting to see.
This price just needs to be there, and I don't know, to be honest, where we're at, like as far as some of these things. I'm sure, like, some of them are being touched upon, but until that's affordable and accessible with some of the more popular games, then that's where everyone will just start jumping on board, in my opinion. And
I mean, we've got the dystopian version of that, which is Ready Player One. And then we have the non-dystopian version, which is the holodeck from Star Trek. So like, these are the goals we're trying to get to. I mean, Star Trek takes it to the point where it's not just, it's AR and VR in one, right? You go into a room that is real to you and you're looking at it with your real eyes. And then all of a sudden you have the VR part pop in to augment the room into whatever scenario you want. But I think Ready Player One is probably closer to what we're going to be seeing, where we have haptic feedback, we've got treadmills, we've got glasses all hooked up. But to your point, like, to get one of those treadmills, I think is like $8,000 just for the treadmill. That's like, most people are not going to get that thing. And then the haptic stuff is well over a few $1,000s. And then getting good wired. See, that's the other thing, is if you're using a Quest 3, you have to trade off performance and fidelity, right? So if you want to have higher fidelity, you're going to have lower performance. If you want lower fidelity, you can have higher performance on the Quest 3, unless it's linked connected to your computer. But if it's not linked connected to your computer, all the GPU power, all the graphic rendering that's happening is happening in your goggles. So there's that, you have a cap to that for the time being. Well, I've got my Vive and I've got the wireless connector that has like the high-speed Wi-Fi connected, the WiMAX, to my computer. So I got a special antenna in my room with a special connector on the back of the headset. And it's as if I'm connected on the wire, and I run at the resolution of my computer. So I can run high resolution games. And there are a lot of games out there that work with that. But like, to your point, the games with the best story aren't there yet. And I still wouldn't feel comfortable playing Call of Duty on it. I'd rather just play that with my monitor. Like, that'd probably make me sick playing Call of Duty like that. But
if it was really fast and like responsive, and I don't know, I had some sensors on me that was like, oh, or something, just, I don't know, like, maybe I could do it. But I could see the issue that I had also with some of the, what was it? I think Oculus or one of them. And even earlier on, where you could take I think it was an Android years ago, and like pop it into like a set of frames to use, is depending on your vision. Not that I have bad vision, but because of the vision it's sometimes hard to fine tune that. So on, at least I think it was the Oculus, it felt just a slight bit off. So
Yeah, the older optics, there's all kinds of problems with it. I always felt like it was fuzzy a little bit, and especially around the edges, it was always fuzzy. So it wasn't clear. I used to play a flight simulator game on my Vive, and I could never read any of the control panels. You just had to know what was on the control panels in the flight simulator. But now with my Quest, I can read those. I link it up, and I can read those controls. So the optics are getting significantly better for a smaller space. So that's the good news. Is that I think a lot of, especially when it comes to vision, they've got auto adjusting things. They've got vision tests now that like help you configure it and calibrate it to your vision pretty quickly now. The one you're talking about where you had like the cardboard box that you put your like phone in, that was the Google box or Google whatever it was. Like that was one of those things of like, hey, try out VR with your phone before you go spend a bunch of money on our actual VR stuff.
All right, now I did go ahead and find the one unit that I was looking for. It's not the most updated unit, but this is the one that people have been kind of saying is going to help revolutionize some of the VR gaming experiences because it's helping you stay in place. Tell me what you think. So this is the Omni One.
Yeah.
And it's not exactly like the biggest. I don't even know what kind of unit I would call this treadmill sort of experience, but it does let you play the game. It does have the harness to make sure you're there. It looks like they're trying to add in some of the haptic feedbacks as far as other games you can play, and quite frankly, it doesn't look like it's that bad of a unit. But what do you guys think? Is this something that you would ever try? Would you ever want to use this for gaming?
Yes. Well, but
I mean, do I want to or should I? Like the thing is, I probably should, so that I could lose like 15 pounds gaming, and that it's a great way to not just sit on the couch or in a chair. I just know that somebody's going to walk in the room and like punch me in my stomach as I'm playing. No, but I think it's actually the issue with some of these things is just like the footprint too.
How big they are?
But it serves to do, if you're working out, I mean, I could justify it. Like, maybe not. What's the price there? 3,000, maybe not at 3,500.
Well, no, it's 122 a month. That's not.
That's not 3,500. That's 122 a month.
That's like $3 or $4 a day. That's it.
Yeah. See, you're really taking
ways
it
to
down.
justify. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I find it interesting that they're selling it as a fitness device. It's all about where playing meets fitness or where gaming meets fitness.
Mm-hmm.
When I think the original intent was to give you a more immersive experience, but they're really focusing on the fitness aspect of this, which is interesting because people can't. A Peloton's going to cost you more than 3,500.
Quite literally, yes. And I would have way more fun on this than I would on the Peloton.
Exactly.
Like
this game, you know what this would be horrible for? Like way back where all these like what's that, like what's it called, like battle royale style games? What was the first one? Battlegrounds or something?
Yeah.
I just remember the first variation of that style of game that came out. All I remember is that I felt that like 99% of the game was you walking. Like you're just like the map was so big and like you and your buddy just like walking or jogging the entire time. So for something like that, you'd put in like 6 miles before you'd see somebody else.
All I can think of now is I think it was like DayZ or something along those lines where you would literally have to run several miles in order to meet up with your friends.
That's what it was, right? DayZ Battlegrounds or something like that?
Yeah, that one was crazy.
That was the OG.
There was also, PUBG was the other one that came out. PlayerUnknown Battleground. Thank you, Jake. Yeah.
Be careful when we say that any of those are the first battle royales. People will freak out.
Yeah, I mean, look, from
true.
The first most popular of the
one of the more popular ones to catch on. Oddly enough, it's one where I was running just like for 20 minutes straight before like you see somebody. I'm like, oh look, there's somebody. Like,
isn't it? Yeah, PUBG's where I first started watching the creator Stone Mountain. where he would come on and be like super serious and act like this. He was like in the military and stuff. A bunch of us actual military
Yeah.
guys thought it was hilarious because he'd be like so for it, and eventually people would just be like, "Is this you?" And he'd be like, "No, stay with the mission, stay with." Yeah, man, I miss those types of content creators. Not quite the same out there today.
Well,
But
and the VR stuff's going to require you to change your movement mechanics.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you ever played what was it Wind Waker, Windlands, maybe Windlands. Let me look it up here. Windlands. I
Zelda?
think that's Windlands. No, it's
Oh,
called
never mind.
Windlands.
My bad.
Wind Waker, I think, is a Zelda one. Yeah, Windlands is the one. But it basically, you got grappling hooks on each hand, and you can like Spider-Man all over the place. You're just grappling everything and swinging from tree to tree over these big canyons. And let me tell you, when you start falling down those canyons for the first time because you missed your grapple, like I've watched people standing straight up and just like fall to the floor to their knees because they're just like, I feel like I'm falling over. So it really messes with your senses. And so I can imagine with the treadmill thing, like you're gonna have to learn to take shorter steps because you only have so far that you can go. If you're trying to sprint, now you're just running shorter steps. Well, you have to
like
change your mechanics. Your balance is gonna change. Which
so
is
they got
fine.
that harness.
Yeah,
in case you
that's
try to
exactly
take a bigger step, it's like you won't step off that machine because you're right. You start running, your stride opens up.
You'll learn within an hour not to step too far.
Yeah, you're gonna see like as there's adoption of it, you're probably just gonna see TikTok videos or whatever the next big platform after that is of just people just, you already see some of them on some of the systems falling down or doing things or hitting like throwing a remote into the TV, but you'll just see it widespread. That'll be.
Well, I'm more curious when it comes down to the vaulting, like the needing to like jump over stuff, because that's where I've seen people fall several times because I forget what game it was. Like the guy went to go like vault over something, and he like went to go put his hand on like the wall to go jump over it, and there was no wall there, so he just fell straight to
That's true. Regardless of what the command is on whatever device you're using, whether it's in a remote or a trigger or whatnot, you're right. If you're that in the game and that's your surrounding and you're like this, you're right. You're like, oh, do I press the button or like I see it in front of me? Do I try to jump over it? So
I want it, and at the same time, I'm terrified of it.
Well, and this might be an opening for AR, right? So this is exactly why Pokemon Go makes sense because if you're running around, parkouring around the place, like at least you see that there's a wall there. There's a real wall in front of you. So,
but then do you need to designate areas that are safe for play?
Yes. Yeah. AR gets interesting. There's a company I'm talking to right now.
Traffic.
Literally, that's why I'm like.
Yeah. Well, no, okay. So let's be fair. People walk in the traffic because they're looking at their phone. If you were in your glasses, you would be able to look left and right, and the world would still exist in your glasses. I think glasses are going to be safer than phones. But
I think glasses. I think it's got to come to something like glasses or something easily that you could attach to people who have glasses, as opposed to a headset that's restrictive. Because wasn't the most recent kind of thing one of them that came out was from Apple, and that headset essentially is like augmented reality, right? Like you're doing whatever in the screen, and you see what's going on around you. But I mean, look how ridiculous that is. Like, do you see a future where everyone has a huge headset on, or is it something more of like glasses are easy to wear, or then contact lenses or something? You know what I mean? Like, or
and then they're replacing your eyes.
I don't know. I just think that,
there.
like, yeah. I mean, I think we're gonna skip the mass adoption of a big bulky headset in favor of somebody pushing out something like easier. Lighter weight.
Hang out in San Francisco for a few hours. You'll find some people walking around with their Apple Visions.
Not for long though. They probably get like jumped and robbed.
Yeah, those things are not. What are they like? $2,000 or $3,000 for one of those? It's crazy. I'm not ready for that level.
Yeah,
and
that makes
an
the Omni One even a
VR.
better option, because the Omni One is so heavy that you're probably not taking it out with you anywhere to get mugged.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But I see AR, like I'm talking to a company right now that's doing AR and VR, but they're doing digital twins of the entire world. So they're mapping everything that's Google Maps, they're overlaying, so you can literally walk around in other people's neighborhoods. And if you are part of the program, you can actually scan the inside of your house with LiDAR and like take pictures, and it'll overlay the mesh and everything. And you can invite people into your house virtually. So you can be like, I have my virtual living room that people can come into, but they can't go anywhere else in my house. And I saw a demo of this where they had one guy, I think he was in London, one of the team members, and he's sitting there working on his computer, and he's got his AR glasses on, and somebody on this side of the world had his VR goggles on, and he was standing next to him in the house, and the video overlaid the two. And the guy who was wearing VR in San Francisco walked over to the guy's house in London to his wall switch and turned the lights down, and the lights in the house actually went down. Like using AR and VR to create these like globally interactive experiences of like, hey, you're there and I'm here.
So
I've got my AR on, you've got your VR on, and now we're in the same
so
room.
wait a minute.
Who
So
needs
now not only
teleportation
do
when
I
you have that?
wait, so now I don't have. So now I have to not only lock my door when I leave, but I have to lock my VR AR
Virtual door. Yes.
as well. Or like, hey, it's on do not disturb mode. Like if I forget, next thing you know, I'm watching TV in my living
Yep.
room, and all of a sudden I hear my lights get dim, and I hear somebody like, "Yo, this is a good show." I'm like,
Whoa.
Where are you?
hold on a second, let me get my glasses on. Oh, what?
And then you'll see him that, yeah, exactly.
I'll be like, wait a minute, get the heck out of here, and then I have to go and like virtually lock them out.
Meanwhile, Action is still sitting in the corner with popcorn going,
Yeah, then
didn't
there's
even know
somebody
I'm
like-
here.
Somebody like Action who like I don't know, we'll say it like nicely hacks into the system, and it's just like there
Yeah.
to just taunt you and shut your lights off and make you think your house is haunted and all
Probably
those kind
order
of
you
things.
snacks or dinner without you knowing. Like I can see
Like,
him
I-
doing that kind of stuff.
I would not be opposed if just snacks or dinner just show up to my house. That's so much better than if people
would
just
happen.
show up. Whether
Well-
food or animals could show. People
And
call.
this company's going on like, you know, what they're trying to do is they're building this entire virtual world that you can engage with as you're moving around. So if you're wearing AR and you go to your hotel, the AI would know, hey, Ken likes to have, you know, pizza when he's at his hotel. So as I walk into the hotel, it'll be like, order pizza from this place down the street. It's got the highest reviews, right? And I can just be like, okay, order the pizza. So as I'm checking in at the hotel, walk into my room, and the pizza's showing up at the same time. Like all these things of like using your habits and your
As long as
behaviors
it's
and
real
big
pizza,
data.
not virtual pizza.
That's right. No VR pizza. We need.
Be like, oh, the pizza's in your room. You're like, where is it? Then you like put them on. You're like, oh, there it is. You're like, oh, I'm still hungry.
They're like, oh no, your room, and you're like, which?
So
Which
you
room
can make a
is this?
mistake. Then you can make a mistake if you've been out like all night drinking with your friends, and you get back. Oh, I love pizza, and then all of a sudden you're just like, you just
Have
didn't
four
order.
20
virtual
pies show
Dominoes.
up.
Yeah. I ordered 20 virtual pizzas here. It's crazy if you think about like, you know, all the benefits and then all the weird kind of situations that could come up, and like what kind of, like you have to think of this when you're making, you have to put a balance, and you have to put like checks and balances so you don't hurt yourself too. And
Yep.
there's lots of things to think about, like what kind of impact it has on, well, around you and your environment, because your AR, you're interacting with your environment everywhere you go. And then how does that interact with other people's environments at the same time that you're there, and what crosses over, and what's public, and what's like if you go to a store,
Yep.
maybe it picks out or knows what all your favorite items are, right? So like you walk in and it's just like off the shelf. It's like, this is the soap you like. And you're like, oh, so you're not like looking or something, but what if it cross, you know, so who knows? I mean,
Well,
Oh,
there's
because then it's, like,
definitely
Targeted
a
marketing.
security.
Mm.
Well, that's the whole point. It is targeted
Yeah.
marketing, but there's a whole security and privacy component. And part of this one project's goal is to handle the big data and all of that AR stuff within your headset. So you're not handing it off to, you know, Google's AI on their cloud somewhere
oh,
to
God,
make
yeah.
all these calculations about you, because you're just giving more data. So the question is, how do you interact with the world? So instead of them taking all of your information and making inferences about what decisions you'd make, when you walk into a facility, You download all of their stuff, and then in your headset or in your glasses or in your phone or wherever this
You have your
this,
own,
the AI is
security and
happening.
permission.
Exactly. It's going, okay, what do I want to match you with based off of what I know about you on your own device?
And this is where
And
DPIN helps
Yep.
make this much, much more of a reality and plausible to do. Because you're the end user and you're controlling your data right on you, and then supplying what you need to interact right with you there. Or
and you don't even have to
extracting
reach
what you-
out.
yeah.
Exactly. You don't even have to send your data out at all until you're ready to purchase. So that's the awesome part of it. So there's multiple layers to this one project I'm talking to about this, but yeah, it got a little weird
Wow.
when you see the video of dude sitting at his house working on stream, and all of a sudden his lights go down, and you can kind of see like the little virtual hand move the light switch, and you're like, seriously, this is where we're going? This is going to be crazy.
Yeah,
I
like smart switches and turning stuff off with my phone and my remotes and things, but I don't know. I'd be a little bit freaked out if one of you decided to turn my lights on in here. Yeah.
Well, wait until you don't need the glasses anymore, and it's just a
Just think about
hologram.
it, or you just think about
Oof.
it.
Oof. Go Neuralink plus eye implants. Oh my goodness. Cyborgs, here we come.
I mean, there's
Well-
some people out there that are not too far away. Not
Well,
for the
and I
betterment
see
of some, but not necessarily for all.
I see AR being more commercial before it's entertainment. So versus
Oh.
VR, where I see it being more entertainment before it's commercial, because there are projects that are working on things like airplane repair, right? So if you're an airplane mechanic, you throw on your AR glasses, you go out to the plane, it maps the plane to in the AR and overlays manuals and part information.
Oh wow,
can, like,
yeah.
Breakdowns, the
Pull
whole
the
nine.
panel off. It has a whole breakdown of like, okay, how do you take this part out?
What
you know,
wires do what?
I think of the assembly
Exactly.
guides that I look
Electrified.
at when I've ordered parts, and you go to those websites and
100%.
it breaks it down by like each one, and then you see the grid pop out and what parts and
Mhm.
part numbers or whatnot. If you could do that, where you wanted to do something on your car and you open the hood and you just put in like whatever it is and look down, and it's just like, this is exactly how it is. This is what you need to get to that timing belt.
I mean,
So
think
that's
about,
where I
like,
see the next generation coming, right
So
there.
like the Tony Stark way of doing things.
Exactly,
Where
yep.
it's all expanded out and you can really start to break down into the individual pieces and find where your errors are. That would be very
I like
helpful
that
concept.
aspect where you see and kind of learn the data and use it as a tool, as opposed to the car example you can't really apply to, but the others where it becomes just a fully automated thing where it takes the thought a little bit out of it. At least that blend to me is perfect, because you still have to participate and do something, do the repair or do whatever. So it takes what most people probably do now is go to YouTube and search for whatever you need to do, like replace the refrigerator door, for this model, and watch it and press pause and stop, to doing it, just having it right there, virtually seeing what you need to do, and just it moving maybe at your pace. It adjusts
Yeah, I think
as you move your stuff.
everybody becomes a technician or a mechanic or a builder, right? Everybody, because right now, my wife and I joke about this all the time, where it's like, we remodeled our rental that we bought about a year ago, and in that process, we're just watching YouTube, figuring out how to do everything, and it's like suddenly we're able to replace the floors. Now it took us, 10 times as long as it would take an expert to do it, but like we remodeled our own floor because we were able to watch YouTube. Now imagine just throwing on glasses and being like, oh, the flooring's not coming up because different type of bonding material or something that requires a different type of approach to removing. It's like, that would have been really great to know when we were replacing our floor at the time, in context, using both AR and AI to detect the environment and the challenges and to recommend the solutions, and AR to overlay those solutions onto the problem. So that's like, I just put a bathroom expansion on the garage over the other house because I'm going to turn it into my podcast studio, converting the whole garage into my next podcast studio. But
Nice.
I just put the slab down with the plumbing. So the plumbing's all tied in now. So I've got water and I've got plumbing going out, and sewage going out. But I just have a pad. And I'm like, I kind of know how to frame. I've built a few sheds in my life, but I'm like, but what is the right way to do this according to California code, building code? Like, at what pitch? What's the minimum pitch I can have on the roof? Like, okay, what kind of framing should I tie it in with like a vaulted roof, or should I just do like a slant roof against the side of the house? And which one's legal, right? All these decisions that I'm just like, I really wish I could just look at this and say, show me how to build this best to maximize my space. And it just like materializes, and it's like, and step 1,
Oh yeah.
work on the sill plate. Step 2, and it's like, okay, this is so much easier.
That reminds me of so many different video games where they do lay it out like that for you. Where it's like, okay, step 1, lay down your framework. This is where all your different pieces need to go. This is how it needs to be positioned. Hell, even Fortnite Lego mode, it has that for when you build buildings, all the like the precursor layouts, and then you just need to get the supplies from there. That would be amazing. I can totally see that being a concept that's very easily done, because when you're looking at some of these garages, some of these sheds, they're all standardized builds. They know every single piece and part that needs to be put into it. You can go to Home Depot and you can order one that'll show up on a few
And
pallets.
there's companies that do that on large scales, even for their estimating companies. You know, you give them your print, and they tell you exactly what you need, how much pipe, connectors, drywall, gallons, you know, everything to do the thing. I mean, look, the adult in me is like right now geeking out in my own head here about like, oh, all the adult things that this can make so much easier, all the things that I've done over the last few years that could have been so much easier if we just get a little bit further ahead. Like, sure, gaming and stuff is fun, but like, wow, if I could put that wall up myself, or if I could get some of this other stuff knocked out, and then that part of, like you were saying, you know, you ask it or it tells you like to code what you need, and then get a supply list, and then show up and it's just like, all right, well, put this right here. I mean, you could probably get this eventually to a degree where you're not even necessarily measuring. Like when you're like putting your like 16 on center, you're looking and it's like, you can see where it's supposed to go. And you're just like, all right, tack it in, you know, whatever, tack it in. And then it says, here's the next one. And I mean,
if there was a $5,000 solution, I would buy that today. That would save me so much time and money in the long run. If somebody had if anybody has a $5,000 price point on that solution, give me a call. I'm going to be your next customer.
Like, I'll start building things again around my property if I have that. Like right now, I don't want to build anything because I'm just like, I think about all the work I've done and with the skate ramps and everything else, and I'm like, I'm exhausted. But you add that to it, I'm like, all right, I got a second wind. I'll go out there and, you know, fix a few things that I've been needing to fix, and, you know, I don't know, remodel something, build a cabin. I have no idea, you know.
So that would be my prediction for AR.
A lot of this is only going to come about because gamers want it first.
I don't know. The AR side, I don't think so. I think the VR side, you're right. I think the VR side is still going to be driven by gaming because you're taking yourself out of your reality. Well, AR is augmenting your reality. It's improving your reality. So I think AR is going to take off more around the commercial side and probably more B2B than B2C in the first place.
Okay.
It could be a stepping stone, though, like the gaming aspect, because like basically before you're going out and lifting up the hood of your car and looking through something and seeing it, there's probably a virtual version of that, game version of that, or some sort of, I call it like a demo, you know what I mean? Where you're playing and virtually doing it at the steps before it's actually on AR, maybe, you know? So maybe there's a way of.
Well, I also think about in the sense of Pokemon Go, because of all the data that Niantic was able to collect, the sheer amount of mapping that they're able to do now is insane. Knowing truly exact distances, walk times, how long it takes to do certain things, progression between buildings, like even traffic. They know like whether or not you're driving in a car, whether or not you're on a highway. Like,
is there still a lot of people playing that?
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, I literally went to a diner down the road the other day, and they were excited, and they were like, "Did you know that we're a Pokestop?" And I was like, "I had no idea." But
did they say that to everybody coming in, or did they just single you out? Figured you played.
I mean, when you pull up in a car that has a Charizard
Uh,
on the side of it, I feel like.
Okay, all right. That's a different story. All right, they're like, oh, you know, like, they're expecting it. No, because like years ago, even an old boss of mine, like everyone was like playing and like you're like running into people, and now I haven't heard much about it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not going out much. I'm working on the computer at home most of the time, and then I'm at conferences, and I don't know anybody at conferences in our world that's running around honestly in the conference playing. I mean,
You
maybe
would
I'm
be
that oblivious
surprised.
to
Okay,
it.
so go over to the gaming section and you'll find at least 10 guys who know the closest Pokestops. When we were in
Yeah, I never picked up on
when we
that.
were in Denver, a few of the gaming guys were
Really?
they were trying to figure out the closest Pokestops as well. Because there was a store down the road that was a Pokestop. And then there was
That's
a
wild.
yeah,
I'm
and
like
then there was a gas
oblivious.
station in the actual one place. There's it's one of the public buildings was a gym, so they were pretty excited about it. Yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy, but yeah, no, if you go to the conferences,
I haven't
yeah,
ran
you
into
can get your
anybody that's
Pokestops and you can help out the worldwide and get your Pokemon from all the different nationalities and all the different stuff. Because in different countries, there's different Pokemon.
Yeah, let's say that I've played a little bit with spoofing that game.
I had
That's
the German version before the American version because I lived somewhere at the time that I couldn't get the American
German version.
version.
well,
German
I've like
version.
emulated the game on my computer and have changed my location, and they've gotten really, really good at catching it. So you have to like time it right. You have to be like, okay, I'm in San Francisco, and then you got to wait like 11 hours, and now you're like, now I'm in Japan, and it'll be like, okay, you're good. But if you're like, I'm in San Francisco, and then I'm in Japan, they're like, oh, you're doing something naughty. Because I will tell you, like Korea has probably one of the most dense Pokestop clustering.
Oh yeah, that
in
was
the world. Like,
insane
you're
at
like-
KBW.
I'm like running out of space in my pack constantly, and I'm just like, okay, this is getting crazy. But that's the thing is
Wow.
like I would spoof it and play it. I think I got that account banned at some point just because I was exploring the possibilities. We'll say.
Ah yes, AR exploring the possibilities of gaming.
That's right.
I appreciate you.
Well, and I had this conversation with somebody the other day where they were like, "Oh, cheaters!" And some games are now taking all the cheaters and putting them kind of in their own matchmaking now, so that the cheaters can all play together. And it's like, okay, listen, I'm playing the game because I want to play the game mechanics. I want to play within the world of the game, but I'm not going to hold it against somebody else who's playing a different game, which is I want to game the game. Like, let me hack this. Like, now the question is, whose AI bot is better, or whose hacking skills are better? Like that's a totally different game that I am totally fine with. But you guys go play that over here while I'm trying to play the actual game. So I'm less anti-hacking than maybe most gamers, as long as they're hacking outside of my experience.
I mean, I loved getting to go up behind the marketplace in Orgrimmar and then just dancing on the stage. Because if you glitched
That's not
out
hacking.
on yeah, no, if you
can
just
do
like
it,
yeah, you just
if you
go to
can
the
do it, it's
wall.
part of the game.
Yeah. Just go up, jump on that little cliff, and then you turn into your dragon mount real quick, and then it shoots you over into the wall, and you just drop down and you run over, get up behind the marketplace and crawl around, dance your jig, and everyone's like, "What are you doing? Why are you here?" And
I'm
you're
about to pass my nerd glasses over to right now.
Bro, I sold way too much gold on WoW. Yeah. Oopsies.
I had
Yeah,
a
and
few,
I probably bought your gold. So
I had a few friends that's gaming, and they're really good at it and enjoyed it. Turned into really a job where they were like playing all sorts of different games, building up characters, selling characters on eBay, selling gold from like I like it was crazy. I think like even like it was like a buddy of mine sold some character for some Star Wars game or something for like $3,000 or $4,000. It was ridiculous.
Oh yeah, dude.
I'm like, I guess if there's some way that he grinded to get his character there or whatever happened, next thing you know, someone doesn't want to do that and they just got money and they're buying it.
So there was this class or this range where it was like either it's like level 40 or level 60, and they were called like twink characters because you were only playing like a certain zone within World of Warcraft. And you would only ever play up to that level, and then you'd halt yourself. You'd stop leveling.
That's got a
And
different meaning now, but yes.
yeah, I know. That's why I'm being very specific about how I'm saying this. Um, with that in mind, it was exceptionally easy to make those characters, those accounts, and then just start boosting through them. And then you could make several accounts that were all around like that 40 to 60 range. And then you could just sell them en masse to people who wanted to have the best gear, just everything lined up for them essentially. And
Yeah.
that was such an easy payday. That was like,
Level 29 was the best. Level 29 was the best twink level. So
but you could sell those accounts. Like a level
Sure.
29, you could sell that pretty much off the bat at like 150. And then price just went up from there. Like you're trying
but
to
let's
get like,
be real. That's 20 plus hours of gameplay, even if you know exactly what you're doing.
oh
So
yeah, no, this
150
isn't like a
bucks over
small
20
amount of
bucks.
time.
Yeah. I mean, you're getting paid what, like $6 an hour, $5 an hour to do that, but you're playing a game, so
You're having fun while you do it, and sometimes that's part of the price you pay. I don't know if that's the way I want to put it, but oh man, no, it's crazy. The amount of things that we've seen over the years and where we are now. I'm very excited for what's going to be happening in hopefully the near future.
I'm excited and scared.
Well,
Like-
of course. I mean, if you watch any kind of anime that's like SAO, Sword Art Online, where suddenly you're all locked into a VR world, and if you die for real. Like that stuff's not something that I'd be super excited about.
What about
Neuralink,
the-
here we come.
The flip side to that, where it's at, what if you get to a point where virtual worlds and networks and all this stuff are tied together, and then, like Neuralink or people that have frozen themselves or tapping that? What if the technology goes where you essentially you shed this body if you're going to pass away, and you move into your virtual life? Like your next life is your virtual life, like the thought process or whatever electrons make your brain go into the computer system. And then, as long as the game continues to have support, I guess you'd stay alive. If the
Black
game
Mirror,
gets
here we
out,
come.
you'd be gone.
Yeah, sorry, I'm like,
No, I mean, you got to think that's like the opposite side of that. That's the other side, is that migrating into those virtual worlds, you never know. If it happens in our lifetime, that would be pretty interesting.
That's assuming that we are only represented by the impulses in our brain.
well,
So
at
now we're
least we'll
getting
know
Well, if
it's gonna
we're
run on
getting
Tashi.
metaphysical here.
but
That's right.
every-
Whatever happens, it's going to be on Tashi. So
if this is a simulation, then that is very, very possible to do. Then you just got to figure out the code to make it happen in our simulation.
We have the forever consensus protocol at our
That's right.
fingertips.
I was trying to make forever games, but now I feel like we're going to be making forever people. Forget forever game players. Oh,
Forever
that's
gamers.
a dark turn.
Forever games to forever gamers, and now you're like,
That's
wait
right.
a minute.
Yeah, no. I need to get a
Does that
little
mean
bit
that, like,
more
someone
active in AR.
Oh man, I just got like a weird thought. Could you just like pick up someone else's last save? You know what I'm saying?
What, like purchase? Like someone else had a much better like thing going on, and you're like, yo, check it out. Like you're tired of that. You've been doing it for 1,000 years. How about I just give you all this money?
Oh my
And
goodness.
we'll swap out. You could reset. You want it to be I don't know, a lumberjack. Here you go. Just load up like lumberjack lifestyle. There you go. Like, I'll
Put
take
your
rich
skill points
billionaire
in.
lifestyle, like you're right. Like you just sit there and there's a marketplace to like upgrade your life virtually as well.
Yeah, isn't there a show Upload? Isn't that what it's called on Amazon?
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Is that like basically what this is? Because if that is,
Yes.
I'm gonna have to watch the
It's a
show.
TV
and
show
just
called Upload.
get all
I've
tripped
heard
out
about
by it.
this show. I will have to go and watch it.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with there's economics involved and everything. Like, okay, how do I what's my afterlife look like versus yours because of how much money I put into it, and
Or like
my living.
like preload your afterlife. Like,
Well, it's multiplayer, so you can be like in this particular world if you get all these features if you pay a certain amount, but also like the people who are still living can also upgrade you and give you money as well. And if ever you run out of
it's
money,
like
they
if
just
you're in
freeze
jail.
you.
They
Yeah.
send money like commissary.
Exactly. That's
Here you
exactly what
go.
it turns into.
So you're in a virtual jail that other people are like
In
feeding
the
you?
afterlife. Yeah.
In
The
the
theory.
afterlife? That'd
But
be
if they
virtual
freeze
hell.
you- Well, if they can freeze you too. So when they unfreeze you, it's just like instantaneous.
My
But
God.
it's like if you run out
All
of
right.
money, you're
Wait,
frozen.
so this is on Amazon?
Yeah, it's called Upload. I think it's on Amazon Prime.
I'm gonna check that out.
Prime Video.
Interesting.
Yep. I don't know how many seasons they have. I've seen the first 2 seasons, so I'm not sure if they have a third. Maybe.
This is where, like, what, so many years in the future, you look back and be like, hey, that TV show predicted the future type of stuff.
Well, and there was a Black Mirror episode that was similar, but Upload, like, it's a comedy. It takes all to a whole new level, but it's funny the way it all plays out. So you don't it doesn't leave you with that existential dread after watching it like Black Mirror does. You're like, oh, that's a funny idea.
I guess, yeah, the existential dread that comes along with Black Mirror.
Toki's head's about to implode.
There's
you're
so much. Like, there's
So I'm going into AI music making after this is done, and Toki's going to go binge watch the entire Upload season series.
If he doesn't get distracted by making more music himself.
That's right.
You just said that, and now he's like probably already like, oh wait, I got lyrics that I haven't loaded in yet.
that is true.
I've
I
been
do.
waiting for.
I was making another flamenco chill hop song the other day, and I was like, where am I going with this one? And then of course, I was like chilling with O2, and O2 is just like, you could always just switch it into Korean if you want. And I was like,
Yes.
might as well. And so now I have a bunch more half English, half Korean flamenco chill hop songs, and I'm like, why are these all bangers?
That's my second language there, man. I love it.
Yo, I'll have to send you some.
Just take like load it, like let it know all the favorite music or all the favorite tracks I like, and just tell it to make me stuff based off of that, and just create a whole new playlist for the upcoming flight of brand new music that I've never heard before. That's pretty similar to the stuff that I like. I think that's what I'm.
If you send me your like top 20 favorite songs, and then I'll just try and create like a new top 20 list for you.
The problem is you're gonna have 20 different genres if you take my top 20.
That's fine. I don't care.
That
You have no idea what I've been trying.
Oh,
We've done
mash
rap.
it
We've done oh
you
my
mash
gosh.
it up. That's what you do. You mash up all the stuff. Say, hey, give me this version of like something like this and this, and mash it together.
We've done that. Where there was
Give me
one
some
hilarious country
jazz.
rap song that I don't think should have actually been in a country voice, but it was. And it didn't sound that bad. No, but there's been some pretty good ones. We'll have to try a few things out.
Yeah, I'm down.
All right. I'm also seeing a mention of Brainstorm. You guys ever heard of that movie?
I am not familiar with it.
Now I gotta watch another thing.
Oh, that's 1983, dude. That's a classic then. If it's an 83, we can call that a classic now.
You hear that, Serenity? You're a classic.
Hey, I was born in 80, so that was still within my lifetime.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, I was born around that time. 80.
Around that time.
I am yet still the oldest one.
Oh, no.
I got my eyeglasses on today and not the contacts. Now I'm really showing my age. The gray's coming out. Oh, this is what crypto does to you.
Hey, man, you've only been in crypto for a month or so, right? I mean, a few years or so.
It was the shortest, longest decade of my life so far.
That's right.
It went so fast, yet so miserably slow during a great portion of it. Oh. almost feel like-
it's kind of like the ricochet effect.
Yeah, now I'm just like, all right, we need to get things interesting for this year. I know on the building side, the development side, there's always awesome stuff going on. On the number go up side, it's mostly boring. But we'll get there.
Oh, there you go, Dabs.
Oh, well,
See, you're hanging in there. You're beating him out.
hanging in there. Yeah,
You don't look a day over 40.
it's good.
That is kind of true. I kind of thought you were a little bit younger than me, and I'm 44 going on 45 this year. So
Well, that's good. No, I'm 45 going on 46.
okay.
So once you get into like late 30s or 40s, you usually do that, like check yourself just to make sure. You tend to forget your age for a minute. I always have for like, and a bunch of like,
I do
my
that.
40 still, my 40. Oh, wait, I'm 41. Yeah, no, I'm 45.
I mean, I remember what year I'm born if you ask me, but if you ask me my age, I'll be like, what?
Doing math.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's actually amazing. I feel like people in their 40s look younger now than they did, say, like 10, 20 years ago. Like I always
feel
felt like 40s was
generations
older.
prior to us. I don't know if it was the
Yeah.
cameras or the way the films developed or what it is, but it feels like
Or how
people,
hard
like,
their life was.
like
That's what I was about to say. I was like, you mean, yeah, the people that went through the Great Depression and
15 or
the
20-year-olds
Great
look
War
like
and
they're
the World
30.
War II.
No, like
Yeah.
15 or 20-year-olds or 25 of those are like 30, 40, 50. Like,
Yep.
I don't
Because
know.
they'd
It's not
already
just,
seen a lifetime's worth of hell.
but then, but I feel like a lot of people are, I don't know, maybe it's just hard. Maybe it's just hard to say, or when you're in that shit, like, oh, I'm in my 40s. So I'm like, I feel like in my
I'm
mind,
thinking from the
sometimes I'm
sense of
20,
the
but
people that were
I
getting
don't
their
feel like I'm
photographs taken.
huh?
I'm thinking about it from the sense of the people who actually got their photographs taken more often from those time periods are going to be soldiers, going to be people who went through severe hardships. Those are the people that are like heavily documented. If you see the happier, healthier folks, they of course do.
But
look
even
younger.
like the 70s or like into the 80s. I don't know, like even people like during
There's some
disco,
rough-looking 40-year-olds in
Like,
those
yeah,
time
like,
periods.
No, you're not wrong. But then again, you have Vietnam.
No,
Yeah.
you're gonna have AR
The Korean
coming
War.
up where you're just gonna have the filter on that,
Yeah.
you're walking around and you
Constant
just
filter.
appear whatever age you want or younger or something.
Or you can make your face be fuzzy and disappear for people. So they
Oh,
can't
Like
actually see
Google
your
Maps, you
features.
block out your face.
Yes.
You
That-
make
there's a
people
black
have to
mirror.
take their they have
Where,
to take
yeah, where
their-
people get blocked. That's what I was thinking about.
There's a Black Mirror about that.
Oh,
All right. We are just past the top of the hour, guys. This has been a crazy space. I won't lie. Space live podcast, the whole nine. Jeez. Covered quite a bit. I am very thankful that we were able to get through all of this. And
wasn't much market coverage because, as everyone knows, the market isn't really doing much. It's kind of boring. It's just chopping it up sideways, and alts are kind of
Yep.
low. This is the time that you don't look at your portfolio right now. There's not much going on. If you're building, you stay building. If you're part of the community, you keep morale up. You support those that are still in the trenches trying to build and develop and bring products to light and services to light, and show your support. You don't sell off or get scared. Maybe double down on your conviction plays, and hopefully
absolutely.
we'll trend up.
And I'll give you a moment to say any last things. Share something about yourself, Ken. Tell us anything about Tashi. Just go for it, man.
Yeah, everybody just go to tashi.network. That's the website. Go learn all about what we're doing. But our goal is this immortal game model, the idea that multiplayer games can live longer than the developers of that game. And we've got a really cool, like I just did a stream on Tuesday with Dennis Dyack, who's like one of the OGs of game development. The dude, like, he's incredible. The way his brain works, he's like, how can I tell this story in a more interesting way using the latest technology? I think he was the first one to work AI into his games. In 92, he made a game using neural nets because he was getting his master's degree in neural net engineering back in 92. So he actually has a game, I think in 92 or 94 that came out that actually has like a little wizard on the top of the screen that like helps you out throughout the game using neural nets. And I'm sitting there thinking like,
That's crazy.
What year was that?
I think it was like, well, he was started getting his degree in 92, but I think it was like 92 or 94 when the game came out.
Wow. The one thing that sometimes pops in my head.
Hey, what's up?
This is
But it's
Zach.
not something Gensio is afraid of.
If you want to survive, you got to build a
How
hive.
many know he did not understand? Ladies and gentlemen.
We're back at the Gensio Media House.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today.